That's it. We are live here in Orlando. It's 7 o'clock on Thursday. I hope you're doing well wherever it is that you're watching. Let me know down below. We already got people checking in, and we're going to get to you in just a minute. But that's how we start every show. Let us know where you're watching from, and are you just curious of what's going on in Orlando, or you think about moving here? Do you live here? That sort of thing. Let us know down below. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight, as the topic would imply, or the title would imply. We're talking about some Epic Universe news. I actually kind of blew me away when I was looking at some of the numbers. We're talking about real estate. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent, and that's what we do. But we're talking about new developments. We're talking about is the market up? Is it down? What's going on? As well as a few other things that we'll kind of get into, as well as your questions and answers. So make sure, your questions, my answers, I guess. Let me know down below what questions you have along the way, and we'll definitely dive into those together. So we already got people checking in. Stephanie checking in from Simpsonville, South Carolina. We got CJ from Philly, what's going on? John checking in from Brockport. Tony checking in. He said it's best show. Man, dude, I appreciate that. That means the world. JJ, my dude, hanging in from Hunters Creek. Pickles checking in from Mineola. Let's go Tigers. I went to a Tigers game last week. Went home to Detroit for the weekend, and they lost. They lost really bad to the Blue Jays. That was not awesome. But to lose to the best team in baseball, I guess that's okay. What's going on from Sanford? We got Stu checking in from there. Alex checking in from the Milk District. What's going on, Alex? Good to see you. Matt checking in from Hamlin. Charles, first time on a live. You look like the coworker on Modern Family. You're going to have to let me know, Charles, which coworker on Modern Family. All right, actually, I got to see this real quick. Because Alex from the Milk District just reminded me of something. All right, I'll have to go over that. And that's actually over in Mills. I was going to let you know, Alex, I went to Tori for the first time last week, and I know that's Mills District, but like that whole area, there's just so many cool restaurants. Every time I go down there, I feel like there's a new one, and people are constantly DMing me over on Instagram, asking me, have I tried this new one? And the answer is I try to get out as much as I can, but I don't get to see them all. And so if you have something really cool to go check out in the Milk District, let me know, please, down below. Sean checking in from Claremont. CFL checking in from East Orlando. And we got one more coming in from Aaron in Virgil, Illinois. So appreciate that. Keep letting me know down below, and we'll kind of check in with you guys throughout the evening. So one of the first stories I think is really interesting for a whole lot of different reasons, but that is this expansion of Osceola's Neocity South. And so this is, I've talked about this in the past. So Neocity in general is supposed to be this new area where you've got semiconductors and all this other really cool new jobs, manufacturing jobs, eventually real estate. They've got Neocity Academy there already. And the idea has been for the longest time, this is going to change that entire area, and yet it's been pseudo underwhelming for so far. We've been waiting for, there's a South Korean firm that's going to be investing literally hundreds of millions of dollars, creating really high paying jobs there. There's already some jobs there and some semiconductor stuff, but just not everything that was originally promised. And yet, at the same time, Osceola County is already ready to launch Neocity South at the Turnpike. And so basically this would take us all the way from where it's at now and then below into St. Cloud. The reason why this is a huge deal, and I actually talked about them expanding or adding on some their performance center there, like their arts center there, which is going to be like $225 million. We talked about that last week. But then this came right after that. The reason why this is a big deal is it's going to connect that Neocity area all the way down to the Cross Prairie area. And that Cross Prairie area has a, almost $1 billion development that's going to be their town center. And so when you think about this area, actually, I should pull this up to give you guys watching live. Let's see. You're watching on the YouTubes, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But if you're watching on or listening to the podcast, you'll just have to come along for the ride. Okay, so this is Neocity right here, and then we've got down here, changes into St. Cloud, and then you've got literally thousands of houses with Whaley Platte, and they've got that Crystal Lagoon coming in, and just tons and tons of stuff there. But so you've got downtown Kissimmee right here, Neocity right here, you've got the Osceola Heritage Parkway right here, and then access to the Turnpike. Now there's going to be a new exit at the Turnpike, which will alleviate some traffic. But I was just there literally today checking on the site here because the whole thing just blew me away when I started thinking and hearing about everything coming to that area. Like, how are they already expanding when they have so much to go? Which then I started thinking, okay, well, I wonder if there's been any new permits filed And so going through this, actually found this on the permitting site just today. This was 3 days ago, $100 million valuation rather, for Ellipsis semiconductor facility, which would be in Neocity. And so there's a lot of things that still need to happen, but because they're in the design phase, this is a big deal. So it says project proposed, various approvals pending, schedules to be determined, but it's a 75,000 square foot total square footage industrial park in Neocity. Now, all of this, maybe I'm talking a lot about Neocity and what's going on there, but my thing is when I look at Orlando's research park and all the jobs that creates over on the east side, and they're well-paying jobs, that's the kind of stuff that we all crave in our area. Like I love tourism. I love hospitality, and there's so many cool jobs that are associated with that. And we want to make sure that we're a broad-based economy that has a lot of different things as well. And so things like this cause and create really sweet kind of opportunities for people to make that kind of money. So anyways, that's my shtick. I'm super stoked about this. Mr. Sean asks me, have I seen the renderings for the the library renderings? I have actually. I think I had that on my list. Let's see what we can find over here together. Library, there we go. So Horizon West library photo. You gotta go through here. This is like renderings and like a digital fly through. This is pretty cool. And this location, like the location of this is right next to the new Horizon West campus as well. Horizon West. Let's see. Horizon West Regional Park. I'm excited about the library because we love hanging out there with the family. But I'm also equally as excited about the regional park. If you guys have not seen this before, you have Hamlin, which is kind of like down a tiny road. There's Bridgewater Middle School right here. Kind of down this way, you've got New Independence Parkway. So if you take this road out right now and you take it up and around, they have the new entrance to the regional park already open, like up north here. And you can come through this back way, and eventually it's going to have as big as Central Park is what they're saying. And it's going to be fields and baseball fields and tennis courts and outdoor amphitheater, whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. But then if you look up the top right here, it says potential Orange County Library. Well, that thing is already getting built. That's probably going to it says potential Orange County Library. And yet that's probably going to get built prior to the regional park finally opening and being ready to go. So it's exciting, especially if you live in that area. There's another park that just got announced over on Sidell. It's cool to see like some of these areas that, again, were just houses and rooftops for the longest time, finally turn into more than that, with retail and other things getting constructed, as well as these kind of amenities that so many of us really, really want, especially if you live in the area and most of these houses have smaller backyards and you're wanting to get out and do stuff and you don't want to go to the theme parks because, I love theme parks, but again, we can't be there all day, every day. And so to see, some of these things coming along that we were promised is very exciting. JJ says, my neighbors work at Neocity, but they won't tell me what they do. Dude, I was out there. So I went out there today and I was like, okay, there's all these government contractors and DOD and like, yeah, definitely lots of 3-letter places that I'm guessing that they make stuff for the Department of Defense. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking about locally, there's a company that works with the Department of Defense that used to do like AR and VR here locally. We have one of the biggest modeling programs in the world here in Orlando, and they're using it for the government. And they took that same technology and now they're using it in video games and over at Universal and some stuff that they've got coming up with Disney. So it's kind of cool to see some of those two things pair so well together. I was stoked to see it. All right, let's see. Alex says she loves Tori. You definitely recommend Lamp and Shade as well as Death in the Afternoon. A friend of mine's actually at Death in the Afternoon right now. Both are relatively new to Mills. All right, put it on there for sure. What's up, Winston? Says, been a while. What's up, my brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see. Tuck says, hey, from Altamont, what's going on with Westcourt? No groundbreaking yet. I actually just talked to somebody familiar with that. It sounds as though things are going really well, and it is going to be pushed into most likely end of this year, maybe early next year. But with everything going on with tariffs and sort of costs of construction has been slowed down a lot, but it does appear as though things are going to be moving on with that in the most positive way possible. CJ says, hey, do you know when Ovation across from Celebration is getting underway, or when the 429 will have a connect through the turnpike through Point Siena Parks? CJ, I've got a whole thing about 429 and Point Siena Parkway coming out on Saturday. I interviewed the head of the CFX, which basically she does the roads and toll roads in the area. From what it sounds like, though, they're in design for the next couple of years on that one, and then they're going to be moving forward. But Ovation across from Celebration, I have not seen any permits actually get filed, just the design get approved. And so next steps are going to be where they have to actually get some permits approved so they can get moving for sure. Let's see. Mohammed's checking in from Orlando Millennia. Popstroke. Yeah, actually, Matt, I actually have that on my calendar. Now I'm trying to figure out when it is. I believe it's next week. Let's see. Popstroke. I'm going to the event on August 5th. That's next Tuesday. And then it opens up, I believe, on the 6th. So that's next week. They are cranking over there. So I'm excited to cover the event, see a little bit more of what's going on from there. All right, let's go over here. All right, so this is from our friends at the Growth Spotter. We've got Hilliard Isle slated for construction in early 2026. So this is going to be a pretty big property. Pulte has actually been partnering with them on 900 acres along Simpson Road for Hilliard Isle. They've been involved since Pulte I'm talking about has been involved as the home building partner since 2022, and they're zoning entitlements. And so this is kind of like at the south portion of Kissimmee, if you will, kind of between BVL and East Toho. And they're going to have about 300 units there. And so if you look, they're actually going to be building it out over 8 different phases. And when you start thinking about everything coming on in Kissimmee, this is part of the video that I was shooting today when we were talking a bit about Neocity is in our comments, when I talk about people moving to Kissimmee and people talk about Kissimmee or even St. Cloud, they're like, oh, there's really nothing there, or it's just, it's whatever, it's too far away. When you think about some of these absolutely massive projects coming to that area, I think Osceola County has the most upside in Central Florida in regards to just overall growth. Like when you think about new rooftops coming, it's just got way more space and entitlements where these builders are moving through, more than Lake County. Orange County's, built out in comparison to Osceola County. And so it's going to be really interesting when you see some of these bigger projects come through. 300 units and 620 apartments. Kind of wild. Tuck says, hey, what about the Hyatt Residence high-rise going on in downtown? I believe it's actually the JW Marriott high-rise going in. And it sounds like I actually talked to somebody very familiar with that project not too long ago. And it does appear that they're working on financing right now. It seems like a lot of people are working on financing, but whether it's either because they have to refi because of or rework their finances because of tariffs or because of interest rates or because of one reason or the other. All these projects that I've been talking to people like working in those developments, I was excited for so much to break ground this year, and it seems like much of it's getting pushed to next year, which kind of is a bummer. Mike Brown says, any updates on Everest Place? Mike, I drive by that thing every freaking day, and it seems like they're moving so fast and moving so much dirt for the longest time, and then it seems stalled. And I know they were doing some pre-sales there for a while. I believe that over on 192, they're probably going to open up some of that medical stuff first and then start pushing back towards like deeper into that neighborhood beyond that. All right, so I've got a question. I'm going to answer Matt's question in just a minute here, but let's see. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? I got this. All right, I'm kind of curious. All right, so indoor space an office proposed for vacant site in Oviedo. Now, you guys might not care about indoor storage and office space. And honestly, it is what it is. There's just a lot of these. The reason I'm bringing this up, I went on the construction website today and I started looking through permits. There's currently 34 new public storage facilities being opened, not the brand, but like storage facilities in general being opened in Central Florida, which seems like a lot to me. And so I would love to hear from you in the comments. Do you have a storage unit? And if so, what do you keep in said storage units? Because my wife's been saying, I'd love to start parking in the garage. Can we get a storage unit? And I'm like, let's just throw all that stuff out and then we could park in the garage. But I got a resounding no from that request. And so I might be getting a storage unit for all I know. And it's like mostly stuff that you would usually throw in a basement if you lived in an area that had basements, the Christmas trees, the old, things with kids stuff that you're probably only going to look at when you're crying because they're moving to college, just random stuff like that. We've got like shelves and shelves full of stuff. And so I want to know, are you one of these people that are filling up these public storage units because they're everywhere and they're popping up left and right, even still? And so they're obviously not having a problem getting those to be filled up. Let me know. Let me just think about that. All right. Let's go over to Scott Gustin, our friend. I interviewed him not too long ago. Super good guy. So during its earnings call, Comcast exec said Epic Universe is driving higher per cap spending at Universal Orlando Resort and is trending in line with expectations. Q2 2025 theme park revenues were up almost 19%, 18.9%. When you look at where the money's coming from these guys. So successful opening of Epic Universe on May 22nd. Caused theme park revenue to go up almost 19%. That seems absolutely wild. Where you look at like their media is only driving less than 2% growth and their studios 8% growth. And that really was on the backs of How to Train Your Dragon and Jurassic World. But when you think about Epic and theme parks and all that kind of stuff, right now it actually feels really slow. Like to me, not just Epic, but like everywhere. I was at a restaurant inside of a hotel 2 nights ago and they're like, it's slower than we remember ever. And then I've got other friends that are at theme parks and depending on the day, it seems quite busy. So let us know, like, have you visited? Does it seem busier? Does it seem slower to you? Obviously with Epic opening, you knew that they were going to be driving a lot of revenue over there. But kind of curious your thoughts. JJ says St. Cloud and Kissimmee border Lake Nona and Hunters Creek, which is also extremely close to the theme parks. Shopping at the Loop and dining, plus our many accessible lakes. Mineola is far. Man, yeah, I agree. I know you're commenting about the Mineola Town Center up above that. But yeah, I mean, you think about everything else coming to that area. So St. Cloud and Kissimmee with Lake Nona and Hunters Creek right there. That's the other thing I didn't say when you look at the map. So I was like clocking how far it was from Neocity. I was clocking how far was it to the airport, how far was it, which was like 23 minutes, by the way. That was like 3 o'clock on a Thursday. I was clocking over to downtown Kissimmee. It was 13 minutes. Downtown St. Cloud, it was like 14 minutes. Wild to see how close actually a lot of that stuff is. And the toll, like the 91, the turnpike, that thing is like looking at the renderings and how much dirt they're pushing right now to expand that. It's going from 2 lanes on each side to 4 lanes on each side with a quickness. Again, just really impressive how much is going on with all of that. Okay, so tonight, NFL starts. You've got the Detroit Lions are playing, I think the Chargers. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. So officially the kickoff, not of preseason or anything, but it's the Hall of Fame game. So it's a little bit of something on NFL, but you've got the UFL, which is ditching 4 markets and moving to new cities in 2026. And you probably guessed where one of them might be moving. But before we get there, you had the Michigan Panthers, Birmingham Stallions, Memphis Showboats, and Houston Roughnecks are leaving. And it looks like they're moving to... I wouldn't be talking about Orlando if I didn't, if this didn't happen. Let's see. Here we go. So it looks like they're going to be moving to Orlando or Tampa, Boise, Columbus, and Kentucky. And so UFL, I'm kind of curious if this is something. Apparently the Michigan, I've got friends of mine that live up there. They were like really into the UFL for a minute because NFL was not happening at the time. Is this something you feel like we need here? And if they're going to do it during the summertime, it's got to be inside, right? Like, I mean, they have to bring it inside to give us some reprieve. Like, I'm not going to watch a football game when it's 100 degrees out. It seems insane to me, but let me know what you think. Space Main says Universal Islands are definitely slow, but Epic is, I don't know what Bork means, but maybe. Tuck says, what's the update on the Orlando Dreamers? Here's the crazy thing. So Tampa, it sounds though, is they're going to retain the Rays, but let me show you something I was kind of like encouraged on anyways. All right. So Orlando, there we go. Orlando Dreamers lease office space at for Major League Baseball Pursuit. So I was literally driving by this the other day, and it's over on 105 East Robinson. They've got 3,500 square feet that they lease for 3 years, according to the Orlando Business Journal. Not too far, from the Kia Center and some of the other stuff going on already downtown. But when I saw Orlando Dreamers, I was like, wait a minute, what happened here? What did I miss? But they got some HQ space downtown. Hopefully for a bid to bring people here. What do? You're bringing people like, hey, listen, look at Orlando, look at all the opportunity we have here. Let's go. I think bringing a stadium downtown is really what they need to do, but we'll see. Jill says, any updates on Mineola Town Center change? I don't know that. You're the second person to ask tonight, though, so I'm going to put this in here. All right, I'll have that for next week. Okay, so by the way, today is Orlando's 150th anniversary, the birthday, 150th. It's also Harry Potter's birthday. So for all those who celebrate Harry Potter, it's his 45th birthday for all those. So happy birthday, Harry. Happy birthday to the city of Orlando. All right, what else do we got? All right, Breeze Airway. Let me know. Are you guys flying Breeze Airway? They've got low-cost airline Breeze adding 4 new Florida routes, some starting at $49. And here's the where and when. So you've got down here, we got Orlando International to Lincoln International. That's Nebraska. Starting in December 10th, introductory fares start at $79 one way. Then you also have Orlando to Kingsport, Tennessee, round trip air starting in December 12th. Introductory fares start at $49 one way. With everything going on, with all of the airplanes and all the crazy stuff going on in the air, our discount, obviously people, they're still thriving, especially in our economy right now. But let me know, Breeze Airway. I've never flown them before. And so please let me know. Is this like something I should be in on? Robert says, I met Pat Williams in 2006. It took him some famous NYC baseball sites where Babe Ruth lived. Oh, nice. Where the original Yankee Stadium was. Nothing would please me more than to see Orlando have a pro baseball team. And it is cool to see them pushing on his legacy. Dave says, any new builds that don't have a homeowners association? Like what percentage? So yeah, Dave, there's a lot of new builds going on in some of these downtown areas, and they are on the more expensive side. So, if you're looking at like College Park, for example, you've got some of these teardowns there where they'll be 600, 700, 800,000 plus in those areas. And so plenty of areas around Orlando and the downtown areas that surround us. I have a listing here in downtown Winter Garden for $699. Basically, there's no homeowners association, and that's good and bad because you have some people across the street that have cars that they leave out all the time, and there's nobody to call. Like the city doesn't care, that sort of thing. But other people love that, right? And so, there's places all over Central Florida, but if it's typically in the higher end area, because you got to think you're tearing down a house and then rebuilding one, and then they need to make their profit. So it's hard to find something non-HOA that isn't in that 600 plus range, I would say. Whereas a lot of the first-time home buyers like Lennar, D.R. Horton, all those kind of different first-time home buyer price points, they all have homeowners associations. It's just the way that they develop. All right, let's see. All right, let's talk about the other one we talked about on our title today. So home prices drop in 14 major U.S. metros, including parts of Florida and Texas, as buyers now gain an upper hand. And so this actually went through a ton of different data. This is from Business Wire. They put this out with different leading indicators from Redfin's economists. The things that I cared most about, obviously, were Orlando. And so where did this shake out in regards to their highlights? So when you look at the top 50 most populous U.S. metros, that's where they're looking at. And where did properties, they looked at, They looked at 3 different things. It was median sales price and how that's doing, pending sales, and then new listings. And if you look at, let's see, median sales price is pretty much flat for Metro Orlando. Pending sales are down though 12%. That's obviously not good. New listings. This actually was encouraging to me, because if you're going to have less pendings, then also having less listings, down 11% recently, that's a good thing. You look at some of the other places that are absolutely, crushing right now. You like in Seattle, new listings up 16%. You've got pending home sales actually started picking up again in Austin, which is, we haven't seen that in a long time. Median sales price, Cleveland is way up. Whereas other areas, like again, Austin is down year over year, 2.9%. So it's interesting. Nationwide, we're somewhere around 2% overall appreciation for median sales price. So many people think that, again, this is why real estate is so hyper local, because you can't take a national number and say things are good, things are bad. This past week or yesterday, the Fed decided not to lower interest rates. And so until they start doing that, I think that real estate prices, especially locally, will probably stagnate. You've got a lot of builders that are willing to offer crazy incentives, which is something we'll talk about here in just a hot minute. But for the most part, like, we're not going to start seeing really great growth and appreciation like we were until affordability gets solved. And one of the many ways you can do that is going to be interest rates or insurance rates or lots of other things. CJ says, hey, what do you know about the proposed high-end golf community Magnifica near Celebration? I've not said anything about this for a really long time, because it got so much hype and every influencer was going and talking about it. And yet I couldn't find like actual blueprints and like actual things moving forward on it. Once I found out where it was off of 192, it just seemed like selling $10 million plus houses possibly would be a little bit hard in that area. And so, gosh, I think we still have an appetite for luxury here in Orlando. But that uber luxury, it might be a little bit of a tougher go. I haven't seen anything move forward on it though recently. And I've been going through permits. I've been looking for like actual things, not just like, hey, we eventually might do this, but actually things moving forward. I haven't seen that with my own eyes yet. And so if it happens, I'll be the first to say like, let's go. But as of yet, nada. Jasmine says, hey, Ken, I love your content. Thanks. Appreciate it. Love that you're here watching. Thank you. Robert says, I've never heard of Breeze, but considering taking to Lancaster, PA, but it was very early in the morning. I'm curious about it for sure. Let me know. Sean says, for anybody trying to save money and trying to avoid an HOA, I highly recommended visiting a non-HOA community that's been established for 4+ years. You'll quickly understand why people prefer homeowners associations. Yeah, and there's some homeowners associations that aren't insanely expensive. Now, I know this is going to sound like cheap for some people and privileged for others, but like our homeowners association in my neighborhood is under $1,000 a year, and they take care of all the maintenance of the main areas. We've got a pool, we've got trees, and like I think it's fairly well maintained. I'm happy to pay the $90 a month to have the community look the way that it does. Now, our taxes, because I'm homestead, are obviously lower than in some other areas. But if you were to drop that $1,000 over onto my tax bill to maintain the exact same thing, I wouldn't really notice the difference. Now, there's other homeowners associations that are massively expensive, especially with some of these condo projects where it's $600, $700, $900 a month, and you don't really get much in return. And so that's the stuff that I completely understand, where it's like, that's a lot to pay for not a lot in return. So it is a bit of a give and take. All right. So this is from Resi Club, my friend Lance Lambert. Spreading housing market softens, sees this $23 million builder offer $50,000 per of incentives per sale. Now, you're talking about Pulte Homes here. Lance interviewed people from Pulte, Meritage, Taylor Morrison. And here's the thing that I thought was really interesting. In a normal housing environment, giant home builder, Pulte Group, which is now worth about $23 billion. In a normal market, they spend $18,000 to $21,000 on incentives on a $600,000 home. But with affordability strained in a housing market, he says the home building giant is now shelling out nearly $52,000 per sale of that home value. And so when you look at Jim, the CFO of Pulte, Jim Osowski, He says incentives for the quarter were 8.7% of the gross sales price, which is up from 6.3% last year. And so this is why when you think about some of these different articles where they talk about Orlando is trending a buyer's market, and in many areas it is, this is like some of the opportunities to take advantage of. I think that builders are more so willing to give bigger discounts. They don't really want to touch base pricing again. They would rather touch land cost or design center cost or buying down your rate at closing. But the money's there should you want that. Whereas on resale, sellers are right now less willing to give up equity in their home. And so if you're a seller out there, my thought is, or my advice to you would be, you can't look at like comps from 6 to 9 months ago like we used to. It's literally like what's pending right now or what's sold in the past couple weeks. Because the market is that dynamic and changing in so many different areas. Visual. Interesting that a Homewood Suites by Hilton is being built in Celebration. Interesting is what I said as well. I think that we need they need another hotel in Celebration. Although the redone Bohemian or the Celebration Hotel downtown is beautiful. Like if you've not been, by the way, to the lobby bar there, the restaurant, they've done a really good job redoing that hotel. That being said, Homewood Suites Celebration, yeah, not on my bingo card. Interesting. Tim says, hey, I've taken Breeze on several business trips. New planes, low airfare, would do again. Well, there you go. We love it. AJ's checking in. What's up? He said, love the content. Dude, appreciate you. Love that you're here. Matt W says, hey, any word on Jacksonville Jaguars and their stadium being renovated? So Orlando getting the Jacksonville Jaguars while their stadium's being renovated. So I know that we bid for that opportunity, which that's a wild thing to me, by the way. Like, so the city of Orlando or the area, like the Greater Orlando Sports Authority, would like literally gave millions of dollars for the opportunity to get them to come, to basically say, hey, like, look at our bid for them to come. And so did a bunch of other cities. And not, by the way, this is not just an Orlando thing, but it has not been announced one way or the other if we got them or not. It does seem to me that with everything going on in Camping World Stadium, which is just actually, I looked at this today, they've just filed for official permits to get going on the first phase. It's like the $425 million renovation. If that kind of all lines up perfectly for them, because we'll be done with our renovations right when they need to come here. So, fingers crossed. Don says, what's up? Checking in from Mineola. You're late to the party, but that's okay. Dave says, Ken, long time no see. Hey, long time no see. What's going on? Dave says, oh, here we go. Dave says, hey, we've been here for 3 years now and still love it, even though we've lived through 5 named hurricanes. I was reading this earlier. I couldn't find a great article about it, but it's been wild to see how we really haven't seen many hurricanes here over the past, so far as the season, right? But August is when it starts to get a little bit rougher. And I am now an official Floridian because every time it rains, even if it's hard, I'm like, we needed that because it's so stinking hot. Like, so when it rains, it's like such a good reprieve. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Florida, this Florida attraction ranks #1 in the nation, and it's not in Orlando, technically. So TripAdvisor reveals the best of the best things to do in the actually in the world, but in the United States. Here's the crazy thing. #3 on its world experiences. #3 is here in the Sunshine State. And it is not Disney. It is not Universal. It's not even Gatorland. It is Kennedy Space Center, which I thought was really cool. When you think about that many people have, gone there, reviewed it, all that good stuff. But the space attraction now has landed #3 on the worldwide ranking, boasting over 15,000 5-star reviews. However, it's not the only Florida attraction that's placed high in the rankings. You've got Stetson's Mansion in DeLand, and then let's see, John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, #6, were also top contenders. Have you been to see a rocket launch? And I'm not talking about from your backyard somewhere in Central Florida, but like gone there and actually taking it all in. It is an incredible experience to think about. They're going to space. Like, and that's this crazy thing. I think as Floridians, we get so or Orlandonians, maybe we get so used to the idea that we have like world-class theme parks in our backyard, people going to space 45 minutes from us. It's cool. I freaking love it. Alex says, my favorite golf course in Orlando. Selfishly, I love Tranquilo over at the Four Seasons. It's a lot of fun. I've played Eagle Creek a bunch. I love that quite a bit. I've yet to play Isleworth. And so if you're watching and you've got to hook up for Isleworth, I would go hack it up out there, especially after the redo. It sounds really cool. Lake Nona Golf and Country Club, also super high on my list, if not number 1 or 2. I played an event there last year. I got to follow up with them. I got another event supposed to come up there. But yeah, Lake Nona Golf and Country, pretty great. Listen, school starts next week on the 11th. And did you know we can't start school here earlier than the 10th? Not that we'd want to, but I think a lot of parents, if you're a parent, let me know. I hope I'm not alone on this. Are you ready for the kids to go back? Are you like, is this exciting, or is it sad around your house? I don't know. Let me know. My kids are stoked. I think, I've got 3 kids and they love it for the first month, and then they start getting on each other's nerves closer and closer as it gets to school. I just kind of want them to go back and maybe just, love each other again. That would be ideal for me. Let's see. Mohammed says, did I see the 2-story Build-A-Bear that's going to be opening in 2026 at Icon Park? Also, do you think Orlando should upgrade City Walk to be like Disney Springs? I mean, yeah, I think City Walk it's a constant, never-ending project. There's always something new going on there. But yeah, I think that, the thing about Disney Springs is you go there, you feel safe and it's clean. And I think City Walk, if you feel safe, everybody's going through metal detectors and that kind of thing. But I do feel like some of the offerings could be leveled up a little bit. But Build-A-Bear, so you've said this a few times, so now I need to see it. I hope it's exciting. I really do. Let's see. Don't let me down, Mohammed. 2-floor build-apart. Oh, this just came just today. Official groundbreaking ceremony happened today. I'm looking for renderings. Oh, there it is. It looks pretty cool. And my youngest will absolutely love this. So new Build-A-Bear Orlando workshop at Icon Park. Got the 2 stories here. I will for sure be spending too much on a bear. All right, well, there you go, man. Oh, dang, look at this. Okay, now I am impressed. Looks like a helipad up top, which would be even cooler. Little outdoor space. This is cool. Yeah, good find, Mohammed. Thank you. All right, so Carla says, how long is it taking for new builds? We bought a new home with the help of Bree and Dr. Phillips. What's going on? We noticed they haven't even started the home yet. So Carla, it depends. It's like such a long gamut of I'll try to break it down for you. So if that builder has already gone and got in permits from the city of Orlando, because you're in Dr. Phillips, it should take anywhere between like 8 to 10 months. If they haven't gotten that, or it could be shorter, it could be, if they've gotten permits and they haven't broken ground yet, it could be maybe 6 to 8 months. But if they have to go to get the permits and that whole process, it's going to be on that longer side of closer to 10 months. And so it just depends. If they've already, you see they're moving dirt and they're getting ready to build the stem wall and all that good stuff, it's that 5 to 6 months period. So I would have Bree, if you want me to, I'll make a note and just reach out to her. Have Bree reach out and see, have the permits been pulled? And if the permits have been pulled, then you're going to be on the lower end. Joel says, how have I not hit 100,000? Sheesh. Hit the like button, people. Please, that would mean a lot to you guys. Mean a lot to me before you head out of here. We're going to hit 100,000. I'm excited. That's why, we've got a lot of different little behind the curtain kind of thing. This channel was originally just like real estate. Let me just show you around some of the different areas. Then we started adding the lives. Then we started doing some of the interviews, and sometimes those interviews do extremely well, and other ones are like too theme park heavy. And so as I learned the algorithm and understand YouTube a little bit better, that's why we broke off and we have the Orlando Real channel. So some of the more theme park stuff is going over there. Some of the interviews that maybe don't have to do with real estate development and news going on in Orlando will go over there. So that way we can give the algorithm gods what they're looking for. Yeah, Traction Magazine for the Build-A-Bear photos. That's who I just found out here, Traction Magazine, by the way. We'll give them a shout out when we do the reel later for sure. We thank Build-A-Bear. Decision to expand here. Scales speaks volumes about doing business in Orange County and at Icon Park. That was their quote today. It's interesting. Icon Park, if you're a local, I want to know, if you're a local, do you go to Icon Park? And if you do, what's the thing that you do? Uh, I go there often to meet people that are from out of town many times. I'm excited to see like when the Intercontinental opens up. I'm sure they're going to have a baller restaurant over there. That will be fun. But if you're from out of town, you probably do go over there. But if you're local, let me know. Curious. Robert says, from our rooftop in downtown Orlando, we could see the launches. They look like Roman candles. Haven't seen it in person. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a whole other experience. It's very cool. All right, I'm going to go back up through some more questions. Visual Santa, she said the Bohemian is beautiful. They needed another hotel. Hanging out at the OCC at a Zumba convention. A Zumba. I didn't know Zumba still exists. That's so stinking cool. All right, I know I missed a few other ones. One of the things from the mailbag earlier today was Quentin had asked me, he's like, why do you hate Apopka? Which I thought was a funny comment because we've done a lot of content on Apopka. I don't hate Apopka. I think it's one of the things about Apopka is I feel like it's still trying to find who it wants to be when it grows up. I think that like Wild Oaks is great as it continues to develop, and all of that's going to be great. I think they've got a lot of land, a lot of builders there. Many of them are fantastic, but it's like I still am waiting for them to decide who they want to be. Because so far it kind of feels like, hey, we got all this land, let's develop it, but it doesn't have like that thing yet, if that makes sense, to where I can say like, oh yeah, Popka has this. Whereas like some of those St. Cloud areas where Sunbridge is going to be 25,000 acres and it's going to have their downtown area and it's going to have all of these builders and retail. And over in Neocity, you're going to have all of this. Or even in Lake County, Claremont, you're going to have the Olympus project. And here's everything else coming into that area. And you've got access to the parks. Apopka is like, it's affordable and it's in the middle of everything. But like, what else is it there? And I think that, hey, and if that's it, that's all it becomes, is an amazing, affordable place that has great access to all the freeways. Great. But I don't like hate Apopka. Robert says, I'm not a local. I bring friends to Icon Park for dining and the ride the little trains. Oh, you know what's interesting is the point at at Icon Park. I've been there in the day. I have not been there at night, but many of my friends have said how crazy and awesome it can be at night. Alex says, I went there to Icon Park when it first opened. That was a hot minute. Jill says, at Icon Park, I took my 1-year-old to the aquarium for his birthday. Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Madame Tussauds opened with Taylor Swift over there. Probably an idea. Dude, I love this question. This is so cool, man. Scott, thank you for this. He says, hey, what makes you so passionate about Orlando, especially as you're a transplant yourself? So, dude, I think that like it's this, like we came here because we love theme parks. And then very quickly I saw that Orlando could be so much more than that. And I think that we have, because we're so tourism and hospitality driven, you had a lot of people that were like coming here and then leaving, but it doesn't make sense why. And I say coming here and leaving, like they were here for the college program, then they left, or they came here, got their fill of Disney and Universal, and then they left 10, 15 years later. But you've got like the largest or second largest public university in the country here with UCF, turning out world-class folks. You've got the theme park industry and hospitality. You've got some of the cool like national defense stuff with space and some of the aerospace stuff here. We've got simulators that rival everywhere else in the country. And so it just feels as though like there's this missing link in the middle some way, where if we could have a more shared vision or a more interconnected sort of piece, that Orlando could be something really, really cool. And so whether that's, and I'm not just talking like sports and that sort of thing. I mean, all of those things make sense. But to have that shared vision where everybody's kind of pushing towards a common goal and using all the cool stuff that we have here, I think it's really cool. I do miss the old Orlando. Maybe not old, is maybe 5 or 6 years ago. They used to say, Orlando, you don't know the half of it. For me, once I got here, I was just like, there's something very cool here that I want to be a part of. And I want to help grow beyond just selling a couple houses. I want to like see this region reach what it could become. And to me, that seems like a very worthwhile goal. All right. Tim says, Icon Park in the word local, no sane local person. Honestly, because it is kind of hard to get in and out of. And so if you're in one of those hotels over there, do you walk up and down? Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Oh yeah, Mr. Sean says Blue Man Group is coming to Icon Park underneath the eye. I'd heard that they got delayed for some reason. Now I want to know. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see. Oh, this was in April. It says Blue Man Group grand opening delayed. Here's why. Blue Man Group return to Orlando has been delayed, though hopefully not for too long. 500 custom seat theater is under construction at Icon Park. Let's see what else we got here. This is 1 week ago from Attractions Magazine. Update on Blue Man Group's return to Orlando at Icon Park, formerly a staple at Universal Orlando, will return to the city, but this time near Icon Park. Let's see. A representative from Blue Man Group shared on this following statement on July 19th that the Blue Man Group international entertainment phenomenon, known for world-famous music, is looking at originally planned at spring 2025, but they're experienced several construction delays, including permitting process that ultimately halted on that site. And so here's what it looked. Oh, geez. Yeah. Here's what that site looks like. And it's an empty site. Oh, man. That's a bummer. Drumming in Orlando opening soon. Yeah, well, they're not opening anytime soon, but TBD. Matt says, UCF had 22,000 students there when I graduated in 92. Now it has more than 60,000. It's wild. Let's see. Clay says non-car transportation is abysmal. Dude, so speaking of this, Clay, so again, I've got this interview coming out on Saturday with Michelle Mikas. She's the executive for CFX. We were talking about, is light rail actually the solution for all of us? And because when you look at many of the cities that already have it, it's very expensive to put together, but it's also expensive to maintain if you don't get some sort of subsidy. And so actually I was looking at the Brightline here. Let's see. Brightline brings back commuter pass with 125% increase. Nope. Here we go. This is from the National Review. They said Florida's Brightline not on track. So railways say anti-car Puritans are part of the solution to America's supposed transportation horrors. Let's see. Brightline running from Orlando to Miami. Great. I don't want to join the National Review. Not today. My bad. Brightline's booked 3 million trips in 2024 and lost $550 million. That's wild. So here's the thing. So we were talking, Michelle and I, and we were talking about, what's the actual solution for this? And they were saying maybe that it's autonomous cars, autonomous vehicles, because if you have that swarm mentality of you have a bunch of them all going in the same direction, there was a couple other things I thought were kind of interesting to help with traffic. Have you guys been driving around, by the way, the toll roads, and you see where it's like a big X in the left, and then it's like check, 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 check. They have that system together now, and I believe it's the first in the country where they're going to have to where, like on the left side where it is like the shoulder where you're not supposed to drive right now, that if they get an accident somewhere on the other lanes, that it will change from an X to a check mark, and then you can drive on the shoulder. But they're going to they said, well, hey, listen, I mentioned there's usually trash and tires and all types of crazy stuff on the side of the road. And she said they actually have a whole crew that would come in and sweep the lane. And then as they pass it, it would turn green over them. And so it allows some of the traffic to go by. So it'll be interesting. Like, do they use some of these systems? I think last week we talked about the Florida Highway Patrol, where instead of, having a car accident and you're waiting for a couple hours and you're backing up traffic, that you can actually FaceTime with the Florida Highway Patrol and potentially get moving faster. So it'll be interesting to see if technology coming along with what we already have in a very car dependent city, if that actually does help other than just building more roads. So anyways, that's my elongated passion project there. CJ says, I've attended a bunch of birthday parties at the Sugar Factory at Icon Park, and they're a fun time. The waitresses sing and play and hype song of your choice. What's your hype song? What would your hype song be? If you're Harry Potter, I don't know what I don't know what your hype song would be. But let me know what you think there. Robert says, hey, Ken, same lifelong New Yorker who never thought he'd leave until 2020. All my prior trips to Orlando were theme park related, but we love downtown, theater, sports, arts, and look forward to seeing the city while while NYC is looking in the past. I agree. All right, guys. So we are wrapping up. If you haven't already, it would mean the world to me if you gave me a thumbs up before we leave. And let us know in the comments if you have questions that you didn't answer. I can answer those next week. We also have a mailbag set up, info@positgroup.com. You can always reach out to us there with questions if you're watching the replay. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.